Hi, this is Jim Myers with Art Negative Graphics, Vice President. I'm here with good friend Vicky Eunice from Kaiser Permanente, and I just want to say thank you for coming out to the show. Oh, and it's 10 minutes with Art Negative. Sorry. So, anyways, Vicky, so glad you get here. You were here today. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you and your audience, and it's very exciting. My background is varied. I kind of fell into event planning by accident. I actually have my degree in professional cooking and baking, and I worked professionally for several years at that before burning out very quickly. Unfortunately, I mean, I love to cook now, but at the time, if you've ever seen Hell's Kitchen, that's exactly what it's like. Um, but I went to a temp agency to find out about, getting something a little bit different. I was always good for computers and organization. So they placed me with a company that needed a receptionist. Um, and I got to move up to training coordinator, and then I got to move into the events department and take over their trade shows and major events. And I was there for about 10 years. I've worked at production companies, I've worked at AV companies, and now with Kaiser Permanente, I work in the Mid-Atlantic states, which is Maryland, DC, and Virginia. So I don't get to travel as much as I used to, but two little ones, it's a little bit more difficult, but I love what I do. I love giving back to the community.
Great. So I was thinking about, our audience and, maybe somebody's coming up in the event world, and what kind of tips would you give them as they're starting out and trying to learn the event planning?
Event planning, it's really kind of a hodgepodge of a skill set. And there's so many different things that I have my hands into. Graphic design, menu planning, seating arrangements, looking for venues. I would go and get as much experience as you can, not just planning events, but attending events, seeing it from the point of view of the attendee, really kind of seeing, how the event comes together. Events are living, breathing organisms, and you can almost watch it shift depending on the temperature of the room, or if food comes out late. Everything kind of affects the feel of the vibe of the room. Not just learning as much as you can, but attending as much as you can.
It sounds like it could be very stressful too.
Very much. I actually have a graphic that I hang on my wall. It's from several years ago, but it's probably still ringing true. Event planners are like the number 5 most stressful jobs in the U.S., and that's behind like airline pilots and military and policemen, and then firefighter, and then you see event planner. But if you really think about an event and everything that goes into it and the production that's behind it, it can be very stressful because you're responsible for the happiness and well-being of every person in that room, and everybody has a different opinion of how things should go.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. Is there any type of associations that are out there that help, event planners?
Absolutely. So I'm a certified meeting professional, so I've got my CMP behind me. I also have my virtual event management certification. There's so many organizations that have things to do with trade shows, events, meetings. There's AMPS, which is the Association of Meeting Planners. I'm actually going to one of their events next week, and there's nothing like being in a room with other meeting planners that understand what you've been going through, especially the last 16 months or so.
So how long does it take to prepare for an event? I would say, like, what's the minimum amount of time it would take you to put together an event?
Well, for a large event, 3 or 4 months, I would say, is probably like the bare minimum. But that also goes into venue selection and what's available at the time. So now that people are coming out of COVID, venues are getting harder and harder to find because so many people are planning events now, which is a great thing. But the market is starting to shrink as far as what's available. So the more in advance that you can plan an event and get that venue, then everything else kind of falls into place after that. So the place is always the hardest thing to do first.
What's your biggest challenge right now with putting on events?
The biggest challenge that we're running into is not just finding the venue, but the gray area of how many people you can invite, how many people are going to show up. Virtual events, if you get a 50-55% attendance rate, then that's exciting and that's great. That's not good for a live event, obviously. So it really depends on people's comfort levels coming back out, getting back into, going to events and conferences in person. So, we're kind of riding in a gray area right now of, what venue to get, how big to get, and how many people are actually going to come.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about some items that you might have, purchased for different events and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I like to think of giveaways or promotional items as kind of the adult goodie bag. You go to a kid's birthday party and you get the little bag of stuff. As an adult, there's nothing like walking into a room and picking something up from every single table, beginning with the bag that they give you at the beginning, which is branded. Just because you have 100 branded pens doesn't mean you don't need that one pen that's sitting there to write the great American novel with. But some of my favorite giveaways, I actually brought a couple. So one of my first, sorry, fell on the floor.
That's all right.
One of the first giveaways that I really, I loved so much that I kept was a Rubik's Cube.
Mm-hmm.
Something as simple as this $3 branded Rubik's Cube was the highlight of the event. We had people coming just begging for these, and they had to interact with the people in our booth in order to get one. So for every one person that out of 10 maybe stuck around and listened to the content, that was one more person that wouldn't have had we not had these. So our theme was shifting dimensions, and we had it branded. So I've actually kept this for more than 10 years. It sits on my desk kind of as a reminder of it doesn't have to be functional. It doesn't have to be useful necessarily, but it's memorable.
Yeah. Well, that was a good idea, though, to get people to interact, to come into the booth and be able to, interact with you. That's how you can.
Absolutely. Yeah. Another one, this is actually a functional giveaway that we had. It is a pen. It's actually also a flashlight, and it's a little miniature screwdriver toolkit. So you unscrew it, and it's got a little screwdriver in there that you can use. And it's got several tips in there. So it's got a flat head. It's got a Phillips head. You never know when something like this is going to come in handy when you're in an event.
Yeah,
all those little electronics that are sitting around you need to change the batteries for. Some of them have screws in the back. So I always carry one of these in my purse.
That's really cool.
So, like I said, it is a pen. It is a little flashlight, but it's a useful tool that I keep.
Yeah, definitely.
And then this one is just for fun. So we've been doing virtual dance parties for our Thriving After 60 crowd. It's our Medicare members at Kaiser, and it's really exciting to see them log on to the Zoom, and they're dancing and they're having a great time. And at the beginning, the DJ would say, grab a remote or grab a bottle of water so that you can sing into it and do your solo. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be great if we could give them an actual microphone? And it's not expensive, it's not functional, but it's fun. And everybody begged to have one. So now when we log on, everybody has their microphone and they're all singing into it at once. And it is just a phenomenal experience to see that, to see your brand and your promotional item take legs on its own.
Yeah.
And it's just grown exponentially because of this simple little thing.
And it's something they're gonna hang on to for a while too.
Exactly. Yeah.
And, you got your branding on there, which is awesome.
Yeah. Some things, throwaway items like food wrappers or napkins and things like that. Those are the things that as soon as it's used, it's thrown in the trash. Something like this, it's going to hang on somebody's desk or in somebody's bedroom with the rest of their tchotchkes for a long time, and they'll be able to tell you where they got it from.
Yeah. So you better put some thinking into that when you're doing an event. Like, well, what items can you get, promotional items that people are actually going to hold on to for a while, so that branding's in front of them.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes it's not the obvious choice when you come up with a theme or an idea for an event, like shifting dimensions, trying to think of something that was going to be that light bulb moment. And when the Rubik's Cube idea came out, it was a light bulb moment.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Well, Vicki, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. And thank you for all the business. And if you all would like to see more videos, you can go to artandegg.com or also our YouTube channel. So just want to say thanks again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for all your support and help. And, your promotional items really make the difference between a successful event.
Thank you.